Here we are, the island. Nothing more than a mossy bank, a soft bit of sod, a spot to rest your oars or to sit and sun a spell.
I will say that the sun seemed to favour the place, but otherwise it is but a wee insignificant bit of grass and stone, as tranquil looking a piece of real estate as anyone could fancy.
Stop. Stop right there. We dare go no further. And Tullen Hullen Foltrut.
That is its name in Gaelic.
In English, it means the island that likes to be visited.
Visited, indeed. There are those who have found the island hospitable enough, hungry even for visitors.
I expect you want to hear more now. Yes, everyone does. The trouble is finding where to begin. We might as well start with the end. It's as good a place as any, I suppose.
And here, nothing so remarkable, a modest Sussex manor house that has long been for sale.
As you can see, all of this home's past, which can't be taken away, has gone.
It is such a silent place that whoever speaks first here is bold indeed.
Unless she merely mutters to herself, which is perhaps allowed.
One might predict that the next sound heard can only be when a piece of siding loosens from the wall and falls to the ground. Then again, maybe not.
Mrs. Agatha Ottery.
The first thing you'll notice about her is that she epitomizes the word dour.
There may be someone, somewhere, who can make her laugh.
Anything is possible.
I'd hazard a guess, though, that the effort would hurt her face.
Shh. She has been here long enough to have become sufficiently disinterested in her role as caretaker of the property. She goes about her labours as if she couldn't quite care less, which she truly cannot. Well, I suppose you'll be safe enough in her care, though. Come, Faye. Ishtmorin, agus can began.
Agatha! What in heaven's name? Oh, I suppose you'd rather have us murdered.
Please, madams, I mean you no harm.
You could have killed him. Are you all right, sir?
Yes, of
Is
course.
he all right? Heaven forbid I protect the household against an unseemly demise at the hands of a bad man.
I didn't think anyone was home. Please,
Yes, naturally. No harm done. No harm done. As you can tell, the house is not in a condition to receive visitors at the moment. Shall we visit in the yard?
Yes, well, I suppose you'd like to know why I've come calling.
Whatever makes you think that? Pay my sister no mind. One knows a little more about life once one knows my Agatha. But she herself is unaware that she comes across as peculiar. Even the war, lately ended, meant very little to her. I, on the other hand, am honored to have a soldier such as yourself at our door. We are honored to help you in any way we can.
I should have sent word first, but I couldn't make a connection through the switchboard.
Oh, you wouldn't have, would you? We don't have a telephone. We find them unreliable.
You are the house caretakers, yes?
We are indeed. It is our job to make sure that no mischief makers disturb the property. And to show the estate to prospective purchasers. Prospective purchasers with appointments.
There were peacocks here.
Peacocks? What in heaven's name are you on about?
In the garden. Topiaries, perhaps.
Oh, some sort of snail. I believe there was a garden statue just there. I believe it was a snail. How would you know that?
I swear there used to be a peacock here.
The statue was clearly a snail, but a tapestry is to hang on the drawing room wall inside that pictured some bird or another on it. I dare say that was your peacock.
Gone? Even my peacock? But I swear I used to pull the feathers out of its tail. Oh well, we live and we learn, madam.
We live at any rate.
Well said, Mon Canard.
Thank you, my rhododendron.
I like your spirit. The tea garden was in that corner, and it had a wheezy, ailing little shrub that my grandmother feverishly tended to, hoping it would bounce back each spring. Despite her nursing it heartily year after year, it never regrew. My father begged her to let him remove it. The old man's a rage when they discovered it was an annual. The padre had to reprehend him for swearing. Padre. What's the English for padre? Oh, yes, Parson. Is he in the land of the living still? I can picture him, the small, thin man with a small, round face. He was always rambling about the pictures he collected.
The parson is a very old man, but he is not tall and thin. He is small and roundish, with a soft face and white whiskers.
Whiskers? I can't think he had whiskers. Had he whiskers? Stop a bit. I believe it is his wife I'm thinking about.
I suppose you'll be wanting to see the house then?
Is there any objection, your ladyship?
Come along then. The quicker we've seen to you, the quicker we can be rid of you.
What is that building over there?
Oh, nothing. It's just a shed. Come along now.
That door. It's coming back to me. I used to sleep there.
Oh, that very may well be. Now if you'll step this way.
I'm curious to see this first.
You can't go in there.
Your reasons?
It's...
There must be a key.
No matter anyhow. I tell you, it's nothing but an empty room.
I find it so strange that you're so keen to stop me if you knew I would find the door locked.
Sometimes it's locked, sometimes not.
Is it not you that locks it?
It's not locked so much as held.
Who holds it?
Quiet, man!
Is it a ghost? They say it's a ghost. What is wrong with this house?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Then why is it going so cheap?
It's in bad repair.
Why has it stood empty so long?
It's far from town.
What made the last owners leave in such a hurry?
Oh, you've heard that, haven't you? Gossiping in the village, I suppose?
I've heard other things. I've heard stories that the caretakers were known to run screaming out of the house and stay outside trembling half the night. Of course, they couldn't have met you, just foolish stories that gather about an old house.
Yes, that's all.
I've also heard that they had to get a pair of caretakers from afar because no woman hereabout would live in this house alone.
Pack of cowards. Why, a boy like you can't possibly have the money to buy a house like this.
Not me. It was just my curiosity to see the old home that brought me here.
So there's no use in showing you the house then? You'd best be going. We have our work to do.
We have gotten on so nicely. I wonder if you would give me a nice mug of tea before I depart. I have such a long journey ahead of me. Would be a shame to turn me away just yet.
I suppose we must.
Since you are so pressing, I accept your kind hospitality.
Come into the house then.
No, I'm perfectly comfortable out here.
You were determined to go in there.
I am.
I wouldn't if I was you.
If you were me, you would.
Not until I have your promise.
Very well, I promise. Unless, of course, she comes peeping out at me. It's a woman, isn't it? Very well. I shall sit in this chair until you return. She doesn't walk until midnight, does she?
Will not be more than 10 minutes.
She can't do much in 10 minutes. Back at home at last. Home. Who's that? Is anyone there? No one. No one.
Hello again, my intrepid travellers. And just where have you travelled now, you ask? Well, you'd be better off asking when. This is how that very same home appeared while under the care of one Mrs. Morland.
You know how there are certain houses that are always smiling? Mrs. Morland's is such a home.
Perhaps they're the smiles she has left lying about.
She does leave many things lying about.
It is only delightful ladies who have this personal way with their belongings.
Among Mrs. Morland's friends are several of whom we have already seen. The snail in the garden and the tree near the window. Mr. Morland and the local clergyman are here, chatting unimportantly about their pleasant yet contentious hobby of print collecting, while Mrs. Morland and Mrs. Amy sit opposite their beloveds, coming into the conversation occasionally with a cough or a click of their needles, a clandestine way of reminding their husbands not to be so assertive. For our part, we'd best away. This tedium may last all day.
But mightn't we swap a changeling for the boy before we go?
Corp the hell. He's far too old.
Mother, did you see that?
Now, Charlie, the adults are speaking.
But Mother, there were fairies, real live fairies in the garden.
Now, Charlie, what have I told you about telling tales?
But Mother, I'm not telling tales. I saw them here just now.
Young man, that's quite enough. The Morlands are not interested in such foolishness. One more word out of you, and you won't sit right for a week.
Come now, it's no bother, really.
I say, the last of our brood, and he's been coddled far too much. He's got to learn to grow up. Fairies, indeed. Young man, if there really were fairies here, they ought to take you off with them, never to be seen again.
George!
Well, I've had quite enough of this foolishness. That's all I meant to say. You know, children ought to be seen and not heard, I always say.
I hear you have a recent acquisition to show off. Is that right, James?
Yes, here it is.
Very interesting. A nice little lot. I must say, James, you have the collector's flair.
The flair, that's what you have, James.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, you have.
You got them at Peterkin's and Dean Street, didn't you? Yes, I know you did. I saw them there. I wanted them too, but I was told they were already spoken for.
Well, sorry to have been too quick for you, George, but it is my way to nip in. You have some nice prints yourself.
I haven't got your flair, James.
I admit, I don't miss much.
You missed something yesterday at Peterkin's, though.
How do you mean?
You didn't examine the little lot lying beneath this lot.
I looked them over. Just a few odds and ends of no account.
All except one, James.
Something good?
Just a little trifle of a Gainsborough.
What? You've got it?
I've got it. I am a poor man, but I thought £10 wasn't too much for a Gainsborough.
£10? Is it signed?
No, it isn't signed.
Ah.
What precisely do you mean by that? James. If it had been signed, could I have gotten it for £10? You are always speaking about your flair. I suppose I can have a little flair sometimes, too.
I am not always speaking about my flair, and I don't believe it is a Gainsborough.
Now, James.
If I had thought you would grudge me my little find, which you missed, I wouldn't have brought it here to show you.
Interesting, George. Quite. But definitely not a Gainsborough.
I say definitely a Gainsborough.
Definitely not a Gainsborough. I should say the work of a clever amateur at best.
Isn't Gainsborough the fellow who draws the funny horses?
Now, Charlie, the adults are speaking.
Charlie, you are quite right. Gainsborough did indeed paint many a funny horse, but he never painted them badly. That horse, however, destroys the balance of the entire composition.
James, I had no idea you had such a small nature.
I don't care for that remark. Nobody would have been more impressed than I if you had found an actual Gainsborough. Besides, look at the paper.
What of the paper, Mr. Morland?
It's machine-made. Gainsborough was in his grave years before that paper was made.
Thank you for your hospitality, Mrs. Morland, and for a very pleasant visit. I think it high time we take our leave.
Don't get into a tantrum about it, George. It's an honest mistake. It could have happened to anyone.
I am not in a tantrum, and I should be obliged if you wouldn't George me. Smile on, Mr. Morland. I congratulate you on your triumph. You have hurt an old friend to the quick.
I shall see you to the road.
Thank you, Mrs. Morland, but I need no one to see me to the road. I know the way quite well.
Come, Charlie, we're leaving.
No, I haven't finished my apple. So, which of you is to say it first?
I beg your pardon?
Which of you is to apologize first? You or Mr. Morland?
Young man, I cannot imagine what's gotten into you today. How dare you speak to Mr. Morland that way?
Mother always makes me apologize when I've acted a fool with my friends.
George, your boy is quite right. I am heartily ashamed of my behavior. Please accept my apology.
I suppose I quite see now that it isn't a Gainsborough.
After all, it's certainly in the Gainsborough school.
Come along, Charlie. Your mother's made up her mind. Good day.
I sighed so often, James, and you must have heard our needles quicken.
I heard quite well. Poor George. It's a shame he has no flair. He may as well order his prints by wireless.
What is that?
Wireless, it's to be called. There's an article about it in that paper. They say before many years have passed, we'll be able to talk to ships on the ocean.
Nonsense, James.
Of course it's nonsense, and yet there is no denying, as he says, that there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy.
Yes, but to think that George spoke of young Charlie being carried off by fairies.
My dear, he meant nothing by that remark. That is all dead and done with long ago.
Yes, but sometimes when I see our Mary Rose so alive, so happy.
Exactly. All is well. She never need know anything about it.
But one day she will fall in love.
Our darling Mary Rose. Fanny, don't go borrowing trouble lest it come knocking.
She can't marry James without your first telling the man. We agreed.
We did. I'm not sure I ought to, though. Still, I'll keep my word. I'll tell him everything.
Poor Mary Rose.
Now then, none of that. Where is she now?
Down by the mill with Simon, I think.
Then all is well. Let her play about with Simon. It may make a tomboy of her, but it will keep young men out of her head.
You still think of Simon as a boy?
And why not? He is only a midshipman.
A sub-lieutenant now. He is hardly a boy any longer.
It's not nice of you to put such ideas into my head, Fanny. I'll go down to the mill at once. If this wireless wasn't working order, I could send them packing without rising from my seat. I should simply say from this chair, "Is my darling Mary Rose there?"
I'm here, Daddy.
Where are you, Mary Rose?
Up on the wall.
What are you doing up there?
I'm hiding.
From what?
I don't know whom I'm hiding from. From myself, I think.
Mary Rose Morland, you get down here this instant. I can't believe what's gotten into her. Her spying on us like that.
There is nothing particularly splendid about Mary Rose. If there is anything strange about this girl of 18, it is an elusiveness of which she is unaware. It has remained hidden from her girlfriends, though in the after years, they will probably say, because of what happened, that there was always something a little odd about Mary Rose.
You don't mean that anything has really frightened you, Mary Rose?
I'm not sure. Darling, has Simon been disturbing you?
Yes, he has. It's all Simon's fault.
Is this some game? Where is Simon? I want to speak with him this instant.
He's at the foot of the lane, but he won't come up until he's secured your invitation. That shows how important this is.
How important what is?
Well, Simon's leave is up tomorrow, Daddy, and he wants to meet with you before he leaves.
Darling, tell us what Simon has been saying to you.
But I'm frightened to tell Daddy.
I think I know what it is anyhow. James, it's best if you just be told bluntly. Simon has come to ask for your daughter.
Oh, you will scold him, won't you, Daddy?
By all, that is horrible. I'll do more than scold him.
Not more than scold him, Daddy. I couldn't stand it if it were more.
You're not in love with Simon, are you?
Oh, Daddy, I'm so awfully sorry that this has happened. Well, what can we do?
He is only a boy, Mary Rose. Just a very nice boy.
That is the wonderful, wonderful thing, Father. I quite agree. Simon was just a boy this morning, but then suddenly, all at once, he became something else. A man. You will scarcely know him now, Mother.
He breakfasted with us. I think I shall know him still.
He is quite different from breakfast. He has grown so grave, so protective.
he has got as far as that, has he? Does he propose that this marriage should take place tomorrow?
Oh no, not for quite a long time. Not till his next leave at the earliest.
Mary Rose.
He's waiting down there. Mother, may I call him up?
Of course, dearest.
Don't come with him, though.
Oh, but you know how shy Simon is.
It is only proper that your father and I have a talk with him alone, dearest.
Well, I suppose that is how it must be. He so wants to do the right thing, Mother.
I'm sure he does.
Do you mind my going upstairs to my room and sometimes knocking on the window? I think it would be a great help to him to know that I'm so nearby.
It would be a help to all of us, my sweet.
You won't try to put him against me, will you, Daddy?
Oh, I would try my hardest if I thought I had any chance. How could this have happened?
I know, it comes as quite a shock. There couldn't be a nicer boy there.
It got on me hard when she said, "You won't try to put him against me, Daddy," because that is just what I suppose I ought to do.
He must be told.
I'm not sure I ought to, though.
It would not be fair to him, to either of them.
You're right. He would be an ass if it bothers him, though.
Yes, he certainly would.
Sir? You see, I've really got, you'll
have to say more than that, Simon, to justify your conduct.
Yes, of course. It's beastly hard on you, of course, but if you know how Mary Rose is...
Oh, we think that even we know somewhat how Mary Rose is.
Oh, yes. Some young people think that marriage is a thing to be entered into nightly. Excuse me, lightly. But that is not my style. I'd like to settle down, read political articles and that sort of thing. And let me assure you that it won't be like losing a daughter. It would more be like gaining a son.
Did Mary Rose tell you to say that?
Another thing, I should consider it well worth being married to Mary Rose just to have you, Mrs. Morland, for a mother-in-law.
Did she tell you to say that also?
Well said, Simon. And I like you the better for that last bit.
At any rate, I will remember forever the kindness endeared to me by the parents of my beloved wife.
Oh, she is not your wife, you know.
No, she isn't. But can she be, Mrs. Morland? Can she be?
That is as may be, Simon. It is only a possible engagement that we are discussing at present.
Yes, of course. My people...
We are very fond of your family, Simon.
I don't suppose you've heard a tapping at the window.
I thought I heard something.
Well, that is Mary Rose, actually.
No.
Yes. She's up there to help me with this encounter, and I promised to signal back if things were going well.
There is a little thing, Simon, that Mary Rose's father and I should speak with you about before you throw that.
I won't believe anything you have to say against Mary Rose.
We have nothing to tell you against her.
It's just something that happened, Simon.
You're making me nervous. Please, say quickly what it is.
It happened 7 years ago, Simon, when Mary Rose was just 11 years old. We were in the Outer Hebrides. I went because I was fond of fishing. Nearby, where I fish, there was a small little island.
It is quite a small island, Simon. Uninhabited, no sheep even. There are trees there, quite a number of them, Scotch pines and a few rowan trees. That was all we noticed, though. It became the most dreaded place in the world to us.
I fished a great deal in the loch, and whenever I did, I'd bring little Mary Rose with me. I would bring her across and leave her on her favorite little stump so that she could sketch. I could see her from her little stump, and we would sometimes wave to each other. And when I was all done, I would row across to pick her up.
We didn't know at the time, but the natives had a superstition about the island. It had a Gaelic name which means
the island that likes to be visited.
On what was to be our last day, I went to pick her up as usual, and I saw her from over there. But when I got on my boat and rowed over, she was gone, Simon. She disappeared.
But you sound so serious about it. She was surely hiding.
Don't you think? I searched and searched.
Was she not on the island?
She wasn't on the island, Simon. It wasn't until the 21st day after she disappeared. 21 days. The search had long been given up, but we couldn't come away.
I was walking across the shore of the loch. You can imagine in what state of mind. When I looked across, Simon, I saw her. I saw her sitting on the stump where she usually sat, sketching. I got on the boat and rowed towards her as fast as I could. But this time, I was facing her. When I finally approached her, all she said was, "Why did you row in that funny way?" That's when I realized the last 21 days had been just an hour to her.
But that's simply not possible. How could she not know where she had been?
She thought I had just came for her at the usual time.
My God.
She didn't know she had been anywhere, Simon. James brought her back to me, just the same merry girl, with no idea that she had been away from me for more than an hour or two.
But when you told her...
We never told her. She doesn't know.
But surely you,
We had her back again, Simon. That was what mattered.
You told no one?
The parson and his wife. Several doctors.
How did they explain it?
They had no explanation for it, except that it never took place. You can think that too, if you'd like.
I don't know what to think. It has had no effect on her at all?
None whatever. And you can imagine how we used to watch.
Simon, I am very anxious to be honest with you. I sometimes feel that Mary Rose is curiously young for her age. You know how a touch of frost can stop the growth of a plant and yet leave it blooming? I sometimes feel a cold finger has touched my Mary Rose.
What you speak of is, innocence. Which I assure you is a holy thing to me.
And indeed it is.
Well, if that's it.
Up. One more thing. You never heard her talking to someone that wasn't there, have you?
No.
Nor listening, as it were, for a sound that never came?
A sound? You mean a sound from an island?
Yes, we think so. At any rate, she has long outgrown those fancies.
It is curious. She's never told me about a trip to the island. She tells me everything.
It's just that the island has faded from her memory. I should be troubled if she began to recall it.
Well, Simon, it's all we can tell you. It's all we'll know. Afraid that's all we'll ever know.
Well, that's it. You heard? Watch how she'll come tearing down. I do love Mary Rose, sir.
So do we, Simon.
I suppose all that business with the island made us love her a little more than other daughters are loved.
Well, it is dead and done with now. It doesn't disturb me at all. I hope you won't let it disturb you.
Most certainly not. You know, I say let's forget all about her right now.
Simon!
Oh, Mary Rose!
Well?
You heard that infernal tapping, did you not?
Oh, Daddy, thank you! Mother, me, married, can you imagine?
I see I'm going to have an abominable day. If you two don't mind very much being left alone, I'll think I'll go sit in the drawing room and have a cry with your mother.
Simon, you and me.
You and me, that's it. We are us now. Do you like it?
You're just so fearfully solemn.
You're not frightened, are you? Not at me. What at?
At it. Being married. Simon, when we are married, you will still sometimes let me play, won't you?
Games? Why, of course, I'll go on playing myself. Lots of married people play games.
I'm glad. Simon, do you love me?
Dearest, precious, my life, my sweetheart. Which name do you like best?
I don't know, they're all very nice.
Tell you what, let's go down to the mill. They can have the house to themselves.
Yes, let's. We can stay there till tea time.
Tell me, what were you thinking as you sat up there in your room waiting? Did you think of a wedding day?
A little.
Only a little?
But frightfully clearly. Oh, I did have such a delicious idea about a honeymoon. There's a place in Scotland, the Hebrides. I should love to go there.
The Hebrides?
Yes, we went there once when I was a child. Isn't it funny? I'd almost completely forgotten about that place, and then suddenly I saw it quite clearly as I was sitting up there in my room.
What were you listening to, Mary Rose?
What do you mean? Do you hear something? I don't hear anything. Oh, I should so love to show you the place I used to sit and sketch while Father was on his boat.
It sounds lovely, but I'm not going to spend my honeymoon by the sea. While on leave, I'd like my feet planted firmly on dry land. I should love to go to the Hebrides someday, though. See your island.
Yes, let's.
Now, let's see. It's probably best we'd skip ahead a bit, so I'll do my best to bring you up to speed. Life started out in much the usual way for Mary Rose and Simon Blake. George Amy officiated a simple wedding under James Morland's watchful eye, and beneath Mary Rose's beloved tree. With Simon spending much of his time at sea, Mary Rose remained under her parents' roof. Before long, the couple welcomed a baby boy along with a new century. The year is now 1900. We reunite with our little family near a familiar island, though, of the trio, only Mary Rose has visited here before. Recalling the tale the Morlands told him of this place, I'd imagine our Simon is quite on guard for anything out of the ordinary.
Our island is as placid as a cow grazing,
or a sulky nursemaid asleep.
Its menace lies hidden beneath thick mosses of various hues.
A blessed spot, it might be thought, were it not for those trees.
Trees upon trees, with their arms outstretched forever skyward as if struck while in full flight, no longer able to carry themselves away. That's often the way with the island that likes to be visited. You're not always able to take your leave.
I don't think, I am quite sure. This is the place, Simon. Quick, kiss the ground. You promised you'd give my island a kiss once we'd found the place.
I'm not a man to break my word. At the same time, Mary Rose, this is the third spot that you've picked out as being the place, and 3 times have I kissed quick on that understanding. This can't go on, you know.
Well, now that we've seen the place, let's set up our picnic. Is this the spot where you used to sit and sketch?
This is it. I told you of the pine and the rowans.
There were pine and rowan trees at each of the other islands.
Not these pines, not these rowans.
You have me there.
Darling, I know I'm not clever, but at least I'm always right. Well, aren't I? That trunk. I swear that is the very trunk I used to sit and sketch on while Father was on his boat.
It is a tree trunk, right enough.
I believe I carved my name on it with a knife.
This looks like it right here. M-A-R, and there it stops.
I wonder why I didn't finish.
I expect the knife blade must have broken.
I'm sure. Oh, Simon, how I love this place. Don't smirk, this is my first love.
Never mind your first, as long as I'm your ultimate.
Darling Rowans, how I've missed you. I have a wonderful secret. Come close, you two Piney. I am married. They didn't like that, Simon. They're jealous. Oh, trees, if I had known that you had felt that way about me. Oh, but it is too late. I've been married for over a year. This is the man. But I have an even more wonderful secret than that. I am a mother. Can you stand it?
What do your trees make of that?
I fear they may never speak to me again.
As you can see, old tree trunk, she has forgotten completely about you, and you only came vaguely back to her mind because we happen to be in the neighborhood.
How can you? Even if it is true, you needn't say it in front of all them, hurting their feelings. Isn't it funny to think that from this very spot, I used to sit and sketch while Father was out on his boat? Do you know, Simon, I don't think Daddy and Mother like this island.
I should like it fine if I weren't so hungry. Where is Cameron? I told him to tie up the boat at any good place and set up our luncheon.
They never used to talk about our travels here. I shall write to them from the inn this evening. How surprised they will be to find I made my way back here with my boys.
I wouldn't write to them from here. Wait till we cross to the mainland.
Why not from here?
If they have a distaste for this place, perhaps they wouldn't like our coming.
Suppose that's for the best. Simon, why did you want to come to the island without me?
Did I? Oh, I merely suggested you might like to remain at the inn with the baby because you seem tired. I wonder where Cameron can have got to.
Here he comes.
If it is agreeable to Mistress Blake, I would wish to go back to the mainland.
Why? It'd be more agreeable to me if you would stay.
I am bound then to stay.
Good man. Oh, look at that. No one would pass up such a heavenly looking spread.
It does look tasty, sir, but I would not use the word heavenly in that situation.
I stand corrected. I must say... Mon Dieu, qui est ce draw?
Mais moi, je l'aime, il est tellement que... What is the French word for original?
That stumps me.
Colloquially, coquin might be used. However, the classic writers would simply say un original.
Well, this is awkward. Clearly, I am an ass. Why don't you have a potluck with us, Mr. Cameron? Let us make it up to you.
It would not be good manners for a paid man to sit with his employers.
Oh, I feel we've gotten off on the wrong foot. What if we start over? Oh, do let me. Mr. Cameron, my husband, Mr. Blake. Simon.
Have you met my wife, Mr. Cameron? Mr. Cameron, Mrs. Blake.
I am very pleased to make Mistress Blake's acquaintance. Is she making a long stay in these parts?
No, alas, we go across tomorrow.
I hope the weather will be favorable.
Thank you. And now, with introductions properly exchanged, you are our guest. Do tell us a little about yourself.
I am a student at Aberdeen University studying ministry, and while on break, I'm a boatman or a gillie, or anything you please to help pay my fees.
Well done.
I am much obliged. And I must say, now that I know you socially, Mr. Blake, there is much in Mr. Blake which I am trying to copy.
Something of me worth copying?
It is not your learning. I have always understood that the English manage well without learning. What I admire in you is your manners and your general deportment. It is these things which I take memoranda of in my little notebook.
Mr. Cameron, I do hope I am also in that little notebook of yours.
You are not, ma'am. It would be unseemly of me. But it is written in my heart, and I have said it to my father, that I will remain a bachelor unless I can marry a lady that is very like Mistress Blake.
Simon, you never say anything as pretty as that to me.
Is your father a crofter in the village?
Yes, when he is not at the University of Aberdeen.
My stars, does he go there too?
When he has received his degree, he will go back and be a crofter once more.
In that case, I don't see what he's getting out of it.
He is getting the grandest thing in the world out of it. He is getting education. Rowanberry, Mistress Blake?
Delicious. I didn't realize they were edible.
I have lived off these most of my life. The butcher meat is one of an excellent novelty to me.
Do sit down.
I will not sit down on this island.
Come, show you aren't superstitious and bound for the ministry.
The island has a bad name. I have never landed on it before.
Bad name, Mr. Cameron. No, but what a shame. When I was here when I was younger, I always came to this island.
Is that so? It was not a very chancy thing to do.
But it is a darling clever island.
That is the proper way to speak of it.
I'm sure I've never heard a word against it. Have you, Simon?
Not I. Actually, I think its name in Gaelic means island that likes to be visited, or some such thing. There's nothing terrifying in that.
The name is new to me, Mr. Cameron. I think it's sweet.
That is as it may be, Mistress Blake.
Come now, what is there that can be said against the island?
They are saying that it has no authority to be here. It was not always here, so they are saying, and then one day it was.
Well, I take it that incident happened before your time, Mr. Cameron.
It happened before the time of any now alive, Mr. Blake.
I thought so. And does the island ever go for a little jaunt in the same way?
There are those that say it does.
But you have never seen it move yourself, have you?
I am not always watching it, Mr. Blake. Or listening to it.
Listening to it? Listening to what? The silence? This island's as still as a church crypt.
So the poor island hasn't many visitors then?
An island that had visitors need not want to be visited.
Why hasn't it any visitors?
Because those who listen are afraid to visit.
What are you afraid of, Mr. Cameron?
The same thing that they are afraid of. There are stories, sir.
Do tell us. Simon, wouldn't it be lovely if you were to tell us some misty, eerie Highland stories?
I don't know, I'd much rather keep the pretty fairy stories myself.
Please, Mr. Cameron.
There are many stories. There is one of a boy who was once brought to this island. He was no older than your baby is today.
What happened?
No one knows. They were gathering ruins on the island. They left him snugly in his basket, but when they looked around, he was gone.
Gone?
He could not be found. He was never found.
Never? Had he somehow fallen into the water?
That is what some say. Some say he is on the island still. That perhaps he heard the island calling.
How does an island call?
I do not know. No one can hear it, but those for whom it is meant.
How long ago did this particular story happen, Mr. Cameron? This lost infant?
It was also before I was born.
I thought so.
Simon, don't make fun. Do you know any more stories about the island, Mr. Cameron?
I cannot tell them if Mr. Blake will be saying things the island might not like to hear.
Not chancy, I suppose.
Simon.
All right, Mr. Cameron.
This one is about a young English miss of about 10 years of age.
That's how old I was when I came here. How long ago was it?
It is almost 15 years ago.
Simon, that must have been just a year or two before I was here.
It's quite likely. But we shouldn't stay on gossiping. Cameron, did you bail out the boat?
I did not, but I will do it now if such as you wish.
Not until I hear the story. I won't go until I hear the story.
Well then, the father of this miss, he will be fond of the fishing, and often he would leave the little one on the island while he fished round it from a boat.
Just as father used to do with me. Please go on, Mr. Cameron.
One day, it was said that he pulled over for his little one as usual. It is said that he saw her from the boat, and he reached the island, and she was gone.
Gone?
My father was one of the searchers. For many days they searched.
But it would not take many minutes to search this darling little island.
They searched, ma'am, long after there was no sense in searching.
What a curdling story. Simon, it could have just as easily have been me. Is there any more?
There is more. About a month afterwards, the father was walking on the mainland, and he saw something moving on the island. All in a tremble, he crossed in the boat, and there was his little miss.
Alive? I'm glad she was well, but it rather spoils the mystery.
How so?
Because she could tell them what happened, stupid. Whatever did.
It is not so easy as that. She did not know that anything had happened. She thought she had been parted from her father for but an hour.
You and your bogies and wraiths, you man of mists.
It is not good to disbelieve the stories when you are in these parts.
Beware, Mr. Cameron, lest you are preaching very far from here, and the island's call plucks you out of the very pulpit and drags you back to the island like a trout on a long cast.
Well then, I will go and build a boat.
That's what I thought.
Suppose it were true, Simon.
What a distance.
No, of course not, but if it had been, how awful for the girl when her father told her that she had been away for weeks.
Perhaps she was never told. He might have thought it best not to disturb her.
Yes, I suppose that would have been best. And yet, it was taking a risk.
How so?
Well, not knowing what had happened before, she might come back and be caught again. Little island, I don't think I like you today.
If she ever does come back, let's hope it's with an able-bodied husband to protect her. Now to pack up the remnants of the feast and go. Let's never come back, Mary Rose. I find that I'm less than enchanted by your island.
And besides, we are parents now. We have our own child to think of. It is a shame, though. You poor lonely isle. I never knew about your liking to be visited, and now I dare say I shall never visit you again. The last of something is always sad, Simon.
It must always be a last time, dearest dear.
Yes, I suppose, for everything. There shall be a last time that I see you, Simon. Someday I shall see you flatten that unruly tuft of your hair for the 1000th time, and never see you do it again.
Someday I shall look for it, and it won't be there.
Someday, Simon, you shall kiss me for the last time. But if you plan on being bold and crotchety, I dare say I shan't mind.
What is it?
I don't know. Something seemed to pass over me. Oh, Simon, I so hate last times. Even to think that there shall be a last time that I kiss you, a last time I hold my baby.
You and your last times. Well, let me tell you this, Mistress Blake. There will indeed be a last time you hold your baby, but that will also be the first time you hold him as a boy. And then as a man. Think of that.
Oh, I quite like that, I think. Imagine when he is big enough to hold me in his arms and comfort me. Simon, don't you think the sad thing is that we seldom know when the last time has come? We can make so much more of it.
Don't you believe that? To know would spoil it all.
Simon, have I been a good wife to you? I don't mean always and always. There was that awful day when I threw the butter dish at you. But on the whole, have I been a good wife?
Cream of the crop.
And have I been a good mother, Simon?
Why, that is not a question for me. That is a question for Mr. Harry Morland Blake. Ah, that's enough now, Mary Rose. I know you. You'll be crying in a moment and you don't have a handkerchief.
At least say you forgive me about the butter dish.
I'm not so sure of that.
Simon, if one of us had to go and we could choose which one.
And she's off again.
Well, I just mean, what do you think would be best? I mean, for Harry, of course.
Well, if it was, for his sake, I suppose I should have to.
Simon!
Steady, old girl, you're not getting rid of me just yet. I know if I were to go, that you would blot me out forever rather than him lose one of his 100 laughs a day. Well, it's true, isn't it?
It is true. In my defense, though, that is what I should like you to do if it were me.
Mother? What mother?
Oh, Simon, I'm so happy. Isn't life wonderful? I could just scream with happiness.
Scream away, we'll give Cameron the jumps. There you are, Cameron.
We're still safe, you see. You can count us. 1, 2, 3. You needn't tie the boat up.
As Mr. Blake pleases.
Mary Rose, we're leaving now. Dearest, don't. This isn't funny.
Mary Rose! Cameron, where's my wife?
Mary Rose, where are you? Mary Rose!
Mistress Blake!
Mary Rose!
Mistress Blake!
Mary Rose! What? Mary Rose. No!
Ah, and so we meet again. I see that you have escaped the island's call thus far. I have to ask, Did you hear it? You did, didn't you? Well, nothing to be done about it now, is there? What's heard is heard. We might as well get on with things. Time has passed with its usual pertinency. 20 years, in fact. Gone. Of course, Mary Rose's absence is of no consequence in the greater machinations of the world. Here at the Morland house, however, Mary Rose has of course been dearly missed. In truth, not much has changed since we last observed the Morlands hosting their dear friends, the Amys. And with a vindictiveness so relentless, one might assume malicious intent against the Blake family. Time marches on all the same.
Dear Fanny, I don't think there is anything I missed more during the war than your apple pie.
Why, I'm sure I've made my pie for you every Christmas Eve.
What with far less sugar? Without the sugar, there's hardly a point. We didn't have a proper pie for years.
Well, personally, I believe these small sacrifices have been a bit of a blessing in disguise. I dare say, without having sugar on hand, I've gotten rather used to doing without.
Right so. I feel like I dropped a full stone. I feel just as fit as young Charles over here. Perhaps you would too, George, if you weren't so keen on making up for lost pie.
I dare say I feel as much a boy as Charlie.
How old are you, Father? You never say.
I am in my late 60s. Surely I've told you that before.
It seems like you've been in your 60s longer than it is intended to be in them, Father.
Charles!
No offense intended, Father.
Well, I certainly don't feel my age.
Nor I. I often think I have the wrong year when looking at a calendar.
How do you feel, George, at 66, is it? Do you feel your 66 years?
Whatever my age, Mr. Morland, I have not yet found it necessary to forego the simple pleasures of a well-sugared pie. Why, to do so would be an insult to your dear wife.
If you think I have done anything to insult my dear wife...
What do you say?
I said that to insult Fanny would be simply unconscionable.
Well, there I agree with you.
Surely, you don't believe I would insult my own wife?
I have just said I agree with you. From the nature of your replies, I often see that you are pretending to have heard what I said when you do not. That is rather vain, James.
Vain? Why, I have something here that I'd have every right to be vain over. If I were the vain sort, I meant not show it to you because it would make you squirm, but you've brought this upon yourself.
Very nice. What do you call it?
Have you any doubt? I haven't any the slightest. I am sure that it is an early Turner.
Turner?
What else could it be? Homan suggested a Girton or even a Days. Absurd. I mean, Days was only a glorified drawing master. There is no mistaking a Turner. There is something about a Turner, difficult to define, an absolute something. I mean, look at the scenery. Kirkstall Abbey, obviously.
Rebo, I am convinced.
Kirkstall Abbey.
James.
Well, you may be right. Place doesn't matter.
There is an engraving of Rebo in that magazine we're looking at. I have got it. Why, this is funny. It is an engraving of that very picture. And it is signed, hello, 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 E. Dies. James, this is very painful. Your chagrin I can well understand, but your attitude might best be described as...
My goodness, look at the time. We better get going. We've an awfully long way to walk.
Ha ha! Yes, well, an invigorating walk is just what one needs after indulging in so much pie. Wouldn't you say, George?
I regret to inform you that we have outstayed our welcome as usual. I bid you a good evening, and you, Miss Morland, thank you for your unvarying hospitality.
It is wonderful to see what an upstanding young man you've become, Charlie.
It's Charles now, ma'am, and that is very kind of you to say. Father, surely you value a decades-long friendship more than a painting. And you, Mr. Morland, are you really going to let your friend leave your house in wrath?
I'm an irascible old beggar, George. What I should do without you.
Or I without you. Or either of us without our dear ones, for whom we are assuredly a never-failing source of mirth.
Tell Simon when he comes that I shall be in to see him tomorrow.
I suppose you think of the two of us as in our second childhood?
Not your second, James. I hardly know any men who have quite passed their first, except perhaps some young Charles here. You've raised a fine boy.
We'd best be going. Come, Charles.
What are you thinking about, Fanny?
I was just thinking about the tree.
Oh, the tree has got to come down. It is getting far too big and dangerous. It could hurt someone.
I quite see it has to go, but think of Harry, how often he used it as a ladder down from his room to the ground.
Well, if Harry objects, I'll gladly plant him another tree.
And it was her tree. Have you forgotten, James?
Fanny, I found it easier to forget most things.
Yes, I suppose as the years go by, the dead should recede farther from us.
Fanny, when was the last time you thought of her as...
As not dead? Years. Sometimes I think that Mary Rose was just something beautiful that you and I and Simon dreamt up together.
At least we had Harry.
And will again. I feel so sure of that. Mary Rose belongs to the past, and we have to live in the present for a little longer. Just a little longer, and then we shall understand it all. I dare say, even if we could drag her back now to tell us what it all means, I wouldn't do it. I suppose anyone, after 20 years away, no matter how much they may have been loved, would we even know what to say?
I fear Simon has never accepted that she's gone.
And he was with Harry so seldom after 20 years, going to the Hebrides again and again every leave.
I doubt Simon could bear to look at Harry. The resemblance, the eyes.
And now they've both disappeared.
I dare say.
What is it, dear?
I think I was being rather thoughtless about that tree.
Such nonsense, me getting so upset over a tree.
It wasn't just any tree, Fanny.
Simon is late, isn't he?
Very little. Oh, there he is.
Permission to come aboard, sir?
Enough with the formalities, you're home now. Put your stuff down anywhere and take a seat. It's so nice to have you home. I hope the train wasn't late.
A few minutes only. I made a selfish bolt for the one cab and got it.
We thought you might be walking across the fields.
No, I left the fields to the other two who got out of the train.
Now I wonder who that could have been.
One of them was a lady, but that's all I can make out.
Bertha Collington, I expect. She was in London today.
If I thought it was Mrs. Collington, I would have offered her a ride. Mother, I have, news. I have been granted command of the Bellerophon.
The very ship you wanted.
Indeed.
Bravo, Simon.
It is a privilege I admit to have made it this far.
Beastly life, a sailor's.
At times. Did you know, we sleep with our feet out of the portholes to give 'em air?
No.
Honest, we all do. It must be a pretty sight from the water. Come to think of it, I think the stench might have been the Allies' secret weapon.
Simon!
Oh, it can be a beast of a life, but at least now with the war over, I have leave again to come home.
Oh, Simon, I had forgotten there's a telegram for you.
2 to 1 they are recalling me.
Or it may be from Harry, at last.
Open it, Simon.
It can't be as bad as that. We're all here, Simon.
It can't be. It simply cannot be. It's from Cameron, the Gilly, the one who took Simon and Mary Rose to the island.
No.
They found her, Fanny, on the island. She's alive. Mary Rose has come back. Cameron, he's bringing her to us. Bringing her here. He's bringing her here tonight.
James, can it be?
Fanny, you must not let yourself get excited. I mean, it is clearly a hoax. I mean, after 20 years.
he knew her by sight as well as any of us.
Yes, but after 20 years?
My, she will be very changed.
However changed, Mother, she would... Do you think I would know her by sight? Wait, oh God. I saw her.
Simon.
Must have been Cameron, walking with her, getting off the train. Mary Rose is here.
If that really is Mary Rose, then... My God.
Mary Rose, home at last, can you believe it? Mr. Cameron, do come up. We cannot thank you enough for bringing our Mary Rose home to us after all this time.
Tell us, is it her? Is it really her?
It is true, sir. Mr. Blake, or Captain Blake, met us at the gate and is with her now. I hurried on to speak with you. It is good for her. You should be prepared. Mary Rose is not as you would expect. She is not different as you and I are different. Rather, she does not know, or she is confused about what happened. Mary Rose is the same as she was 20 years ago. These past 20 years, she thinks they have been but an hour. That Mr. Blake and I left her behind in some incomprehensible jest.
James, just as it was before.
But when you told her the truth?
She will not have it.
She must have seen how much older you are.
When she did not recognize me, I thought it best not to say. She was so upset at having been left behind. I thought it best not to tell her.
But now that she has seen Simon?
I do not know. I thought it best to leave them to themselves.
Surely she doesn't think that Simon took Harry and abandoned her?
Oh, Harry, James, if she should think that Harry's still a child.
I never heard what became of the boy.
He up and joined the Navy.
We had a few letters at first, but heard nothing towards the end.
He's been declared missing in action.
I am so sorry.
He's just taking his time to make his way home to us all, not unlike our Mary Rose.
How was she found, Mr. Cameron?
2 men fishing from a boat saw her. She was sleeping in the very spot the Blakes picnicked so long ago.
My Mary Rose!
I'm so glad to be finally home. Can you believe my beloved Simon simply left me on that island? I demanded he give me an explanation, but he just sat there dumb as a post. Oh, I'm prattling on. Can you believe me? I simply must smell ghastly. I've been wearing this dress for 3 days, and I simply smell horrible. Oh my...
Mary Rose?
Daddy? Don't you think Mary Rose might like a cup of tea? I can put the kettle on.
Oh no, I'm quite all right, thank you.
If you don't fancy tea, perhaps something stronger might ward off the chill.
I'm quite all right. Simon, tell me.
We can't, Mary Rose. We don't know.
Simon, tell me.
Simon, I don't know what you want to be told, Simon.
Darling, when I lost you, it was... Mary Rose, you must understand, it was not I who left you on that island. You left us, Mary Rose. You left us.
Where is my baby? Where is my baby? Why isn't he in bed?
Mary Rose, Harry hasn't slept there for quite some time.
Mary Rose, your mother cannot stand this, Mary Rose. She has borne too much. Too many losses.
What losses?
Well, first, that was you, my love. You've been away from us for a very long time.
20 years.
Where is my baby?
There is no baby.
Harry, he is...
He is not here.
Where is my baby?
Mrs. Blake, your family has reason to hope.
Reason to hope?
That he was
taken prisoner.
Who took my baby?
Mary Rose, so much has happened since you've been away. There's been a terrible war. Harry just hasn't made it home yet.
Here's your tea, mister.
We hadn't any tea biscuits, so we... What's the matter with him?
I don't know. I've just come in, same as you, haven't I?
We haven't been more than the 10 minutes that we promised.
It's not as though I didn't want him.
Agatha! Mister? Hello? Would you like a nice cup of tea? We brought you a nice cup of tea. There now, that's better. Whatever's the matter?
I don't know. I sat in this chair and I didn't think I was sleeping, mind you, but these things I knew not of, things I couldn't have known.
That weren't no dream, you were visited.
People of the far past connected with this house.
Well, never mind you that. It's no concern of yours anyhow.
It is some concern of mine. The people that used to live here, the Morlands.
That was the name.
I suppose you heard it in the village?
I have heard it all my life. It is one of the names I bear. I am one of the family.
I suspected that might be the case.
Tell me about them.
It is little I know. They were dead and gone before my time. The old man and his wife.
It's not them I'm asking about.
They had a son-in-law, a sailor. The Navy made a great man of him before he was set ashore at last.
He was my father. Hard I used to think him, but I know better now. Go on.
That was all.
There is one more.
If you must speak of her, she is dead too.
Where is she buried?
Down by the church.
Is there a stone?
Yes.
Does it say her age?
No.
Yes.
And so, it is she who haunts this house.
There is no such thing as ghosts.
And yet, is it true about folk having lived in this house and left in a hurry?
It's true.
Because of a ghost. A thing that can't be. Have you seen her yourself? Where? In there?
In every room. All over the house and on the stairs.
I tell you, I've met her on the stairs. And she drew back to let me pass and even said good evening, too. And other times she's gone straight by me like a rush of wind.
But she is harmless, it seems.
There's some who wouldn't say that, them that left in a hurry. If she thinks you are keeping it from her, she will do you a mischief.
Keeping what from her?
Whatever it is she prowls this place for, day and night.
We don't know what it is.
I do. I dare say I could even put her in the way of finding it.
Then I wish to God you would, and let her rest.
I'm afraid there are worse things than not finding what you are looking for. There is finding them so different from what you had hoped. Stay here. I'm going in there.
Oh, you mustn't.
Do you think she is in there?
She may be.
Really, Agatha, do you think it wise?
Perhaps he can deliver the peace she seeks. And if not, you and I are none the worse.
Agatha!
Leave now. I have a call to make. You were not in there more than 10 minutes, you say?
That was all.
10 minutes more, then. Go.
You're new here. Have you come to buy the house? It's a lovely house, isn't it?
It was a nice house. Once.
Wasn't it? Did you know this house?
When I was young.
Young? Was it you who laughed? There used to be someone here who laughed.
When was that?
Once. Often. Never. I don't know. But wouldn't you say that laughter's the most wonderful sound?
Is it? I dare say I never thought of it.
You wouldn't, would you? You're quite old.
I suppose that's what happens to everyone, given enough time. Would you like to come out and sit a spell?
That is your chair.
What do you mean by that?
I saw you sitting there when I came out. I thought you were the one.
The one?
The one who stole him from me.
I see. In a sort of way, I suppose I am.
Give him back to me.
I wish I could. More than anything, I wish I could.
You're a kind man.
I would like to help you.
You would?
I would.
Who are you?
Harry.
Harry. Such a long time ago. I'm so tired. Can I please go away and play now?
Go away? Where? You mean that place?
Yes.
The island. What's so special about it?
The island.
Have you forgotten that too?
I don't know. If I could find him, if I could tell him, and if I could make him understand, then I could go back. Then it would be all right. Will you help me find him, please? Please, I don't want to search anymore.
I believe I can.
It was you. It was you who took him from me.
Now, that's enough.
No, not until you give him back.
But you said you didn't know. Who is it you want to find, Mary Rose? Tell me.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Yes, you do, Mary Rose. Who is it you have been searching for all these years?
I don't know. I forget. I don't know.
You know, Mary Rose. You know.
My baby. Where is my baby? Where is Harry?
Your baby is gone. But Harry is here. I'm here.
Harry.
Yes, I don't blame you. It wasn't your fault. None of it was your fault.
Are you sure?
There is no one who blames you. There now. It's all right. When I was sitting in that chair, I remember you saying that when he was a man, you wanted him to hold you in his arms and comfort you.
Imagine when he is big enough to hold me in his arms and comfort me.
Do you know who I am now?
Nice man.
Is that all you know?
Your name is Harry.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes, I'm here. You don't have to search anymore.
My baby. Here. Home.
I suppose in a way, I've been searching too.
What for?
For you. Or something you might have been. Would you like to go away and play now?
Oh, yes, please.
In this cold house, when you are meant to be searching, did you sometimes go play instead?
Shh, don't tell.
Never.
The island. The island that likes to be visited. Surely we all know of at least one such tempting place, such an island, where we may never go. Or, if we do dare to visit such a place, we can't come away again quite as easily. And it takes more than a bit of searching to find someone who will forgive us that. Perhaps you've heard the call of such a place? Oh no, of course not.
Well, this is where I leave you. I've shown you all I can. Slán a bhulla.